Lovely viewers, today we're diving into a story so magical, so heart-stopping, and so overflowing with romance that it has managed to do something almost impossible in this era. Shut down the internet. Yes, you read that right. The live footage of Lee Min-ho and Song Hye Kyo's Fairytale wedding has captured the world in a way no one could have predicted. From the moment their names started trending in every corner of social media to the second the first clips began circulating, it felt like the entire globe hit pause to witness this historic union. And oh, what a union it was. This wasn't just a wedding. It was a spectacle of love, beauty, and glamour so overwhelming that it practically forced the internet to bow in awe. I'm going to take you right into the middle of it, so you feel like you were seated front row, breathing in every gasp, every tear, and every whispered word between the bride and groom. So buckle up, because you're about to relive every heart-stopping detail as if you were there yourself. The atmosphere was electric from the very start of the day. Hours before the ceremony was even scheduled, the venue, a stunning, sprawling private estate nestled between rolling hills and a sparkling lake, was already swarming with media crews, drones, and eager fans who had somehow managed to find their way past tight security just to catch a glimpse of the soon-to-be newlyweds. Every detail had been kept top secret up until now. The location, the guest list, even the time of the ceremony. It was all shrouded in mystery, which only added to the suspense. When the first official confirmation broke out on news platforms, Lee Min-ho and Song Hye Kyo wedding happening live today, it was as though the world collectively dropped what they were doing. Even casual fans who had never before watched a K-drama found themselves glued to their screens, wondering what kind of magic could possibly unfold when two of Korea's most beloved stars finally said their vows. The moment the live stream began, it was clear that this wasn't going to be a typical celebrity wedding. The opening shot panned across the venue, revealing rows of fresh white roses that seemed to go on forever, delicate fairy lights draped from ancient oak trees, and crystal chandeliers suspended in the open air, swaying gently in the breeze. The aisle, a long stretch of gleaming white, led to an altar adorned with cascading orchids and blush pink peonies that looked like they had been painted into reality. As the camera zoomed in, the sound of soft strings played by a live orchestra filled the air. You could almost feel the tension, everyone waiting for that first glimpse of the bride and groom. Chat boxes on streaming platforms were flying at the speed of light with comments in every language imaginable. "I can't breathe," typed one fan from Brazil. "This is history in the making," wrote another from the Philippines. And then he appeared. Lee Min-ho, the man who has broken hearts on and off screen for years, stepped into view wearing a perfectly tailored white tuxedo that made him look like he had walked straight out of a romance novel. His hair was styled just enough to look effortless but polished, and the sunlight hit him in such a way that it almost didn't seem real. The audience let out a collective gasp, and even the seasoned photographers stationed near the altar paused for a second, their fingers frozen on the shutter button. He walked with that calm, steady confidence he's known for, greeting a few close friends along the way but clearly keeping his focus on one thing, waiting for his bride. When the music shifted, everyone knew it was time. The audience rose, and the camera turned to reveal the moment people will talk about for decades. Song Hye Kyo stepping out in a wedding gown that could only be described as pure magic. Designed by a world-renowned fashion house in collaboration with her personal stylist, the dress was a masterpiece of silk and lace, with a train so long it seemed to glide across the aisle like a river of moonlight. Tiny pearls and crystals were hand-sewn into the fabric, catching the sunlight with every movement. Her veil, almost ethereal in its delicacy, floated behind her, and in her hands, she held a bouquet of white lilies, a symbol of purity and commitment. The live chat on streaming platforms practically exploded at this moment. "She's glowing. A real-life goddess. How is this even possible?" It was as though the world had collectively fallen in love all over again. Lee Min-ho's expression when he saw her said it all. His famously composed demeanor cracked, and for the briefest moment, he looked like he might cry. His lips curved into a smile that was equal parts awe and disbelief, as if he couldn't quite believe that she was real and walking toward him. Song Hye Kyo, ever graceful, locked eyes with him from the very first step, and it was clear that in that moment, nothing and no one else existed. The music swelled, the flowers swayed in the gentle breeze, and time itself seemed to slow down. As the ceremony began, the officiant, an old family friend of Lee Min-ho, spoke of love not as a grand gesture but as a daily choice, a commitment to cherish and support one another through every high and low. The couple exchanged vows they had written themselves, and for those lucky enough to be watching live, it was impossible not to feel the weight of their words. Lee Min-ho promised to protect her smile for as long as he lived, while Song Hye Kyo vowed to love him not only at his best but also at his most vulnerable. These weren't scripted lines for a drama. These were the unfiltered promises of two people who had weathered storms and found their way to each other's arms. The rings they exchanged were equally symbolic. Crafted by a luxury jeweler, each ring bore an inscription on the inside, private words known only to them. As their hands met, the cameras caught the brief moment where Lee Min-ho's thumb gently brushed over her knuckles, and you could feel the tenderness in that small gesture. Then came the kiss, and if the internet hadn't already collapsed under the sheer weight of global attention, this was the moment that sealed it. The crowd erupted into applause, the orchestra's music soared, and fans everywhere screamed, cried, and typed furiously to capture the moment in words before it slipped away. After the ceremony, the reception unfolded like something out of a dream. Long tables were adorned with gold-trimmed china, crystal goblets, and centerpieces so elaborate they could have been plucked from a royal banquet. Guests included some of the biggest names in the entertainment industry. Fellow actors, directors, producers, musicians, all dressed to the nines. Cameras caught heartwarming interactions between guests and the couple, from Song Joong-ki offering a polite congratulatory handshake to a moment where Kim Go-eun hugged Song Hye Kyo with tears in her eyes. The newlyweds' first dance was nothing short of cinematic. Under a canopy of twinkling lights, they swayed slowly to a song rumored to be personally chosen by Lee Min-ho, the lyrics speaking of fate and forever. They didn't just dance, they seemed to have their own language in the way they moved together, pausing occasionally to whisper something that made the other laugh. It was intimate, yet shared with millions around the globe in real time. Social media analytics later confirmed what fans already knew. The live footage had set a new record for the most watched wedding in history. Platforms reported temporary outages as the influx of viewers overwhelmed servers. Hashtags related to the wedding trended in over 100 countries. Memes, GIFs, and emotional reaction videos started appearing within minutes. And even news outlets that typically focused on politics or finance found themselves covering the event. This wasn't just a celebrity wedding, it was a cultural moment. Even hours after the live stream ended, fans were still buzzing. Some replayed their favorite moments over and over, while others began writing heartfelt posts about how the couple's love story had inspired them. A few even admitted that they had stayed up all night just to witness the ceremony live, despite being in a completely different time zone. That's the power of a love story like this. It doesn't just belong to the people in it, it becomes something shared, something that touches hearts everywhere. If you were to ask those who attended in person what stood out most, many would say it wasn't the flowers, the music, or even the breathtaking outfits. It was the undeniable connection between Lee Min-ho and Song Hye Kyo. Every glance, every touch, every quiet smile exchanged between them spoke volumes. It wasn't about putting on a perfect show for the cameras. It was about being present for each other in a moment that they had both dreamed of and worked toward for years. And now, as the world continues to replay, repost, and relive the magic of that day, it's clear that this fairy tale wedding has left a mark far deeper than just trending hashtags. It's a reminder that in a world so often caught up in chaos and uncertainty, love, real, enduring love, still has the power to bring people together, to make them believe in something bigger than themselves. For Lee Min-ho and Song Hye Kyo, this was the beginning of a new chapter, one that fans will undoubtedly follow with just as much passion as they did their journey to the altar. And for the rest of us, it's a story we'll keep close to our hearts for years to come, remembering the day when two stars collided, and the whole world stopped to watch. I do's might just be as magical, if not more, than the wedding itself. The live footage may have captured the grand ceremony in stunning clarity, but for those lucky enough to be there, or glued to every second of the post-wedding stream, there were intimate, heart-melting moments that felt like little pieces of heaven sprinkled throughout the evening. And oh, the way these moments unfolded. It felt as though the wedding wasn't just for Lee Min-ho and Song Hye Kyo, but for everyone who had rooted for them, defended them, and believed that their love story could reach this kind of fairy tale ending. The reception began with a gentle hum of chatter as guests took their seats, but the mood quickly shifted when the couple re-entered the venue. Not in the formal wedding attire we had all just swooned over, but in their second outfits for the night. Song Hye Kyo appeared in a soft champagne-colored gown that hugged her in all the right places, with delicate beading catching the golden light of the chandeliers. It was elegant yet playful, allowing her to move freely as the night progressed. Lee Min-ho, ever the gentleman, had swapped his crisp white tux for a deep navy suit with a velvet finish that made him look like he belonged on the cover of every romance novel from here to eternity. The crowd cheered as they walked in hand, both beaming like they were living in a dream they didn't want to wake up from. Lee Min-ho, in a gesture that immediately trended online, pulled out her chair before taking his own seat. Something so simple, yet so rare in an age where chivalry often feels forgotten. Fans watching from around the world flooded comment sections with things like, "That's the standard now," and "He's setting the bar too high for the rest of us." The meal itself was a masterpiece. It wasn't just food, it was an experience. Each dish had been personally selected by the couple after weeks of tasting sessions with a Michelin-starred chef. From melt-in-your-mouth Wagyu beef to delicately plated fresh lobster and a vegetarian spread so beautiful it looked like edible art, it was clear that no detail had been overlooked. Even the dessert was a spectacle. Miniature glass domes covering delicate pastries dusted with edible gold, with a wedding cake standing tall in the center of the room like an art installation. The cake, a towering 7-tier creation, was decorated with sugar flowers so realistic that guests had to lean in to believe they weren't real. And then came one of the moments that made the internet collectively lose its breath. Lee Min-ho standing, taking the microphone, and delivering an unscripted speech to his new wife. The room fell silent, and even the live viewers watching from across the globe seemed to hold their breath. He spoke softly at first, thanking everyone for being there, but then his focus shifted entirely to Song Hye Kyo. He told her that from the first time they met, he knew she carried something rare, an elegance and strength that inspired him every day. He admitted that there were times he doubted whether this day would ever come, not because of a lack of love, but because life and circumstances had tried to keep them apart. But love, he said, always finds a way back. And today, I promise you in front of everyone here, and everyone watching around the world, that I will spend the rest of my life making sure you never regret walking down that aisle toward me. The audience erupted in applause, and many guests wiped tears from their eyes. Song Hye Kyo's response was equally touching. She didn't just thank him. She spoke of the countless moments, both big and small, that had brought them to this day. She recalled late-night conversations, quiet walks away from the cameras, and the way he had been her anchor in storms no one else even knew about. She promised to be his safe place, to protect the love they had built, and to never let the weight of the world overshadow the joy they found in each other. And then the music started. The couple took to the dance floor for their official first dance, but halfway through, something unexpected happened. The music shifted to a lighter, faster beat, and the pair broke into an unrehearsed, joy-filled freestyle dance that had everyone laughing and clapping along. It was spontaneous, imperfect, and absolutely perfect in its own way. Their guests joined in, and soon the entire venue felt like one giant celebration of love, friendship, and happiness. Outside, while the dancing continued, another surprise awaited. The couple had arranged for a fireworks display over the lake, timed perfectly to their favorite song. Guests spilled out onto the open lawn, gasping as golden bursts lit up the night sky. Lee Min-ho and Song Hye Kyo stood slightly apart from the crowd, their hands intertwined, their eyes reflecting the dazzling light above. It was a quiet moment in the middle of the grandeur, just the two of them soaking it all in. Cameras caught Lee Min-ho leaning in to whisper something that made her laugh, and that single frame, her head tilted back in joy under a sky full of fireworks, quickly became the most shared image of the night. Meanwhile, fans online kept the energy alive. Social media timelines were flooded with live clips, fan edits, and emotional posts. One fan from Italy wrote, "I've never believed in love like this before, but now I do." Another from Indonesia posted a tearful selfie with the caption, "Stayed up till 3 a.m. for this, and I'd do it again without hesitation." Even celebrities who weren't able to attend shared congratulatory messages, making it feel like this wedding wasn't just a private event. It was a shared cultural celebration. And as the night drew to a close, the couple made their final exit in a vintage convertible decorated with flowers. Instead of the traditional "just married" sign, the back read "Forever Begins," a subtle but powerful nod to the life they were stepping into together. Guests showered them with petals as they drove off, the car disappearing into the night, leaving behind nothing but the echo of cheers and the lingering warmth of an unforgettable day. If you thought the wedding had ended when the cameras stopped rolling, think again, because the next morning more behind-the-scenes footage began to surface. Staff members shared short clips of the bride and groom rehearsing their vows, friends posted candid moments of them laughing together during breaks, and one clip, perhaps the most touching, showed Lee Min-ho gently adjusting Song Hye Kyo's veil just before she walked down the aisle. In that tiny gesture, you could see everything: love, care, admiration, and a deep respect that words can't quite capture. This fairy tale wedding didn't just shut down the internet. It rewrote the definition of what a celebrity wedding could be. It wasn't about outshining others with extravagance. It was about creating something so authentic and deeply felt that it resonated with millions. And for everyone who witnessed it, whether from a seat in the venue or through a glowing phone screen halfway across the world, it was a reminder that sometimes, love stories don't just live on the pages of scripts. They unfold in real life in the most beautiful ways possible.